Hi, this is Felipe with Garrick Solutions, and welcome to another automation video. Or today, what we want to talk about is how to improve processes in a company. So, one thing that we talked about in another video is establishing KPIs or key performance indicators. So, regardless of the industry that you're in, or how big your company size is, it's really important to establish indicators or benchmarks as to what is optimum production, what is optimum level of output of calls made, in any department, so that you can have better visibility of what is an average performance of your departments, and then you can compare and see where is there opportunities for growth. So I'll touch up on a couple of examples. So let's say sales, business development. For example, in companies which we've done engagements in, they want to benchmark, salesperson performance. So, okay, how many cold calls does each salesperson do per day? How many emails do they send per day? For example, how many appointments do they set per week? Let's say with key customers or new customers or business development. So those are great ways to establish KPIs of what's an expected number of calls made, meetings done, emails sent, to be able to drive business. And then that way you can compare your salespeople and see who's overperforming, who's underperforming, and what can you do to solve that issue. Now let's take an example of production or manufacturing. So you want to measure, for example, how long does it take to complete a specific process or a specific task, and then through timing, you can say, okay, on average, depending on the day of the week, the hour of the day, what's my productivity level? What is my optimum productivity level at what section in the day? And then kind of understand more, why was that optimum level achieved? Was it because of certain staff that were working? Did I have more staff? Did I have less staff? What was my volume of work? So it's what you want to do is you want to create indicators or reports that can be given to you from different areas of your company, so that you can understand kind of what is going on and what are the interactions between the departments, so that you can find better ways to optimize the areas that you want to improve. So for example, a lot of the times in our logistics clients, they'll have issues with loading containers or prepping cargo to be able to be picked up by truckers or transported. So you want to look at what is an optimum shift size. So what you could do is there's another scenario, it's called split testing, where you kind of change different variables to find out what can be the best way to get to the final result. So for example, you might say, I want to allocate teams of 4, teams of 3, teams of 2, teams of 5, and then see how long that process takes to be able to complete the task. And then say, what's doable? Do I need to, because that's how you eventually can find out ways of being more efficient. Maybe adding an additional person, one full-time and one part-time per day might help you become more efficient and crank out work that you might, reduce the peak of where you need everything, it's like a rush, a really busy time to be able to get, the product shipped out, or, get everything ready to then be processed into the next stage. So these are just some examples of, how indicators across your organization can help you pinpoint areas of improvement. And not only that, but then, you can start, what's really, really important is for you to start, keeping track of all those indicators over time and see your performance, whether it improves, whether it decreases, and why. So you want to look at, first, on a very short-term basis, maybe compare days of weeks, and maybe with like your shift schedule or who worked for those days, and then maybe expand more into months, then eventually quarters, and then start comparing. So for example, how did I perform this week versus last week? How did I perform this month versus last month? How did I perform this month versus the average of the last 3 months versus the last 2 quarters, last 6 months, and then eventually you can go versus last year, how did I operate? And then that's how you keep yourself in check, and you can keep the different departments accountable by being able to compare that. So that way they're performing against themselves, and then that becomes an apples to apples comparison within the same department over time. And then it's really important to establish dashboards and reports, because that's what gives you visibility into the different teams to find out where can you improve and how can you improve. So remember, as a manager, as a senior leader in your organization, it's really important for you to have visibility through reports, because that's what gives you the pulse of every different organization and where there's opportunities of improvement. So we hope this has been really helpful, and have an amazing day. Take care.